rAVe Radio. With rants and raves, you'll be okay. And today is your lucky day. It is rants and raves with Gary.
Hi everyone, Steph Beckett here. Welcome back to our Rants and Raves podcast. This is our pre-InfoComm series, and we are featuring a few of the events and sessions at InfoComm in order to give you guys a little bit more information on them and to get you excited so that you will check them out at the show. Joining me this time is Megan Martin of M Squared Dynamics. Megan, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'd love if you could just kind of talk a little bit about who you are and what you do for M Squared Dynamics.
For sure. So, as you mentioned, I'm Megan Martin. I am a recovering meeting professional. So I was on the event organizer side for a little over 15 years. And now I run a consulting business, M Squared Dynamics. I have a few fractional roles and kind of a career portfolio of things, if you will. So I run head of marketing for EMC meetings and events. I lead the partnership strategy for Bear Analytics, a unified event intelligence platform, plus a number of other facilitation and workshop and consulting work that I do with M Squared. And I think this is my fourth or fifth year presenting at InfoComm. I'm just always grateful when they ask me back.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about what your session is going to cover this year.
Yeah, so this is the second year I think I've been doing this workshop. It's contingency planning for live events. And a lot of times the AV teams get brought into contingency planning kind of towards the end, or a lot of times after it's too late and they're having to make decisions on the fly that probably could have been prevented if they were brought in earlier. So we're going to walk through with all of our audience that is going to be at the show about how to start contingency planning either on your own or with your clients for live events.
Makes a lot of sense. What is the biggest mistake that you have seen organizers make when they think that they have a plan for their event and let's say that plan falls through and then the second plan falls through? What is the biggest mistake that you've seen?
Well, the biggest mistake is that there is no contingency planning. They just go into the event assuming plan A is always going to work. And I think those of us that work in the live event space know that that rarely ever happens, that it doesn't really ever work that way. And so not planning at all is usually the biggest pitfall that planners run into, and especially AV folks. Equipment fails, stuff happens, and it's how you recover. And so we're just going to make sure everyone has the tools and process and frameworks to do that contingency planning. So inevitably when something does go wrong, you can just quickly recover and get back to the show.
When I was reading a little bit about your session, you mentioned OBTW moments. What are those?
Oh, by the way moments. And so I think we all know that clients will come and be like, oh, by the way, we also added another speaker to our panel. Oh, by the way, we're moving the entire schedule up 30 minutes and now your call time is 5 a.m. instead of 5:30 or 6. So we're going to walk through some of those oh, by the way moments that your clients are going to throw at you, because contingency planning isn't always just about stuff going wrong, but it's about navigating changes in the production schedule in real time as they happen.
That's true. And you mentioned how this affects AV professionals, and those are usually the folks that everyone turns to when something breaks 5 minutes before an event starts.
Yes.
So from your perspective, how important is it for AV teams to be included super early in those contingency planning conversations?
Yeah, a lot of the times with contingency planning and AV, they're probably, in my opinion, the most likely for links to break and things to go wrong is in the technology and audiovisual side of things. We can always quickly whip up some food and beverage or move some chairs and things around. Those are a little bit easier to navigate, but audiovisual and technology are sometimes very mission critical. If you think about a hybrid event, well, without AV and technology, I literally can't produce a hybrid event. And if the stream goes down or a piece of equipment fails to stream it, those are all things that we have to work through. And so I always try to do more contingency planning on the safety, security, audiovisual side of my programs.
That makes a lot of sense. And you mentioned hybrid events. Do you think that contingency planning has gotten easier or harder since hybrid events have become such a huge staple of pretty much the world and how we have events now?
Yeah, great question. I think it's gotten harder, unfortunately, because hybrid events really need to be run as two events that are happening at the same time. It's easy to just live stream a keynote and call it a hybrid event, but is that really hybrid? For some people would say yes, some people would say no. But at the end of the day, hybrid is important because it extends the reach of your audience, and you literally can't do it without a strong production partner behind you to do it.
That's so fair. And since your background kind of sits at this intersection between events and marketing and community building, when you have seen a disruption happen, what separates an event that recovers very gracefully from one that attendees remember being horrible and remembering for all the wrong reasons?
For sure. A lot of it just comes down to communication, and that's how you recover, is like keeping people in the loop. A lot of times your attendees, participants don't separate you from the production company. So if the stream goes down or something happens, the organizer and or organizing company are the ones who are going to take the hit, not your production team. And the event organizers, in my opinion, should not pass the buck and being like, oh, well, our production company, failed or whatever happened. They just kind of have to own it and move on. But it's really about how you communicate with people. And I think coming out of the pandemic and all of us having to be digital for so long, we give a lot more grace now than I think we previously did, but also expectations are higher for what a digital or hybrid experience looks like. So you have to have a very good relationship with your production partners to make sure those things go well, and have that contingency plan, not just what to do to fix it, but how to communicate. And so a lot of what we're going to talk about in my session is not just contingency planning to make sure you can get the show back up or whatever happens, but also who needs to be involved. What is that message? Who's taking the lead? Do we post in a chat? Do we send a text message? How do we keep our team and the participants involved and updated so that we can get back on track as quickly as possible? Because a lot of times in a hybrid event, when you lose the stream or something goes down and people can't access the information, they can't connect with other people in that hybrid experience, then you've just lost them. They're not going to come back. And so you've got to find ways to keep them engaged in the event, whether virtually or hybrid, so that they will just continue on with the program and not check out completely because the stream went down or chat happened or whatever.
This is hitting me actually so hard as someone who hosts virtual events as part of my job, and I've seen things go wrong from all sides. And
Yes.
You're using a technological platform, things are going to not work sometimes. The last time this happened to me was a month ago, and we had a piece of pre-recorded content just wouldn't play. So I'm sitting there with 30 minutes to kill. Nothing was playing, and I was like, look guys, this isn't working. I'm really sorry. Y'all just want to ask me questions for 30 minutes? So the audience literally was like, yeah, sure. And just asked me questions for 30 minutes.
I mean, and that's part of it. You have to know how to fill the white space, if the platform goes down
wrong
or something happens, you don't want to have to make it up on the fly, because a lot of times in that moment, you're not going to make probably your strongest or best decision making with all of that stress on top of you. That's why athletes train, and all these other professionals that are in high stress environments like we have in events, they train day in and day out on what to do if something goes wrong, or they need to, God forbid, I'm going to say the word pivot, but if in case they have to pivot,
right.
They don't have to think about it. It's second nature. They know exactly what to do. And a lot of times in events, we kind of forget that. And it should be muscle memory, because you have a plan, who needs to be involved, the message, a backup of we're just going to have an Ask Me Anything session now because we can't get the video to play, right? You have all those plan B through Z ready to go.
Yeah, and it ended up being so fun, and they were like, could
Yes.
you bring this back for the next? And I was like, sure. So
Well,
I'm
sometimes they're
glad that
happy
time it ended up,
accidents. Yeah,
yeah, that time
sometimes
it
it
ended up
just,
okay, but
yeah.
like usually it doesn't end up okay.
Sometimes not. Like for me, when I was producing events during the pandemic, I think it was like my second week on the job of this brand new job, absorbing an event I didn't create from the beginning. And I asked them, like, we're producing this in the middle of the night. So sessions were going to be from like 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. my time in the US because it was a global conference. And I was like, well, what happens if the platform goes down at 2 a.m. or something goes wrong with this stream? Like, what is our backup plan for this? And I was reassured from everyone on the team, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine. Well, the virtual platform pushed an update at 2 o'clock in the morning that shut our entire event down. So we had 3,500, 4,000 people in a digital platform that just completely got kicked off. And then we had no backup plan on how to re-engage these 4,000 people after the platform just dropped them.
Insane how that happens.
Yeah.
And what did you have to do? Just say sorry.
Essentially, we just started pushing stuff to YouTube and any other channels that we already had because a lot of the conversations were pre-recorded with
Yeah.
live Q&A, so it was like a hybrid format. And so we just started pushing the pre-recordings and telling all our speakers, hang tight, we'll get the platform back up. But I think it was almost an hour before the platform could be back online because they pushed this update and no one thought to inform them, like, hey, by the way, we're going to be doing sessions at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Which is insane how that happens, but that's
Yeah.
live events for you, and it's
It's
Murphy's
exact-
Law for you.
Pretty much.
Well, Megan, thank you so much for your time. My last question for you is, where can people connect with you online?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn and Instagram. So you can find me at Megan Martin on LinkedIn, and then on Instagram at M2 Dynamics and Event About It podcast on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me. Excited to see you guys at the show.
Sounds good. And for all of you watching and listening and want to know more about Megan's session, I will include the information on how to register in the notes in the description. So just go and check there for that link. And we will see you all at InfoComm. Again, I'm Steph Beckett. Bye.
rAVe Radio. With rants and raves, you'll